Hello and welcome to Sportstar. My name is Nihit Sachdeva and I'm joined by my colleague Uthra Ganesan. We are recording this video shortly after India winning its fifth Asian Champions Trophy title. The men in blue beat China 1-0 in the final, courtesy a strike in the 51st minute by Jugraj Singh. We will discuss all that went through this tournament and what were the key points and takeaways from this edition of the Men's Asian Champions Trophy. Uthra, let's start with the one thing that people were really looking forward to, the goalkeepers, because the mainstay PR Srijesh, he said he'll retire after Paris Olympics, and he called it a day after India won the bronze medal. Uh, how, according to you, how did the two goalkeepers do in this edition, both Krishan Pathak and Suraj Karkera?
Uh, I think they did well. They did pretty well. And the good thing is that both of them have been part of the system for a long time. So it's not like Srijesh retired and someone was just dropped into the deep end without knowing what they are doing. Pathak even went as the reserve goalkeeper to Tokyo also. Of course, you can only take one. So with Srijesh being the main one, he had to stay on the sides. He was a reserve one, but he's been around for a long time. And barring Olympics, where you can only have 16 players, for excuse me, for most of the tournaments, generally you take about 18 odd players, and you have two goalkeepers. So Patak has played at the highest level. A lot of coaches, including Graham Reed, have used both of them in tournaments, in matches, alternate quarters. So it's not like Pathak suddenly has stepped up. The only thing that has changed is that his role is now more of the senior guy compared to earlier when he was the junior person. But other than that, in terms of experience and everything, it's not like they did not know what they were getting into. Uh, and Suraj, in fact, he's got lesser chances. That's true. Maybe for a lot of reasons combined. But he has been around for much longer than Pathak actually with the senior team. He's been around for longer. He's worked with Srijesh. He's trained with them. He's been in camp consistently and continuously for almost 8 years now. So both of them are aware of what they're getting into. Yes, when you look at the kind of legacy that Srijesh has had, there were a couple of easy goals, but that's normal for anyone. Even the best of them do that, but there are no complaints from the goalkeepers. It also helps that they were up against teams that are ranked much lower than them. Like India's fifth right now, and then the next four teams are 13, 14, 15, 16 before the start of this tournament.
Hmm.
So it did make things a bit easier for them, but that doesn't take anything away from their performances because they were tested a couple of times, both of them in this tournament, and there are no complaints so far, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Even in the final today, like they made some really, even though
Yes.
Chinese attacks were not that frequent, but the ones they managed to do, I think these guys did brilliantly. I mean, both Krishan and Suraj, they made some really crucial saves. I think one Krishan saved after a deflection from a PC that China had. So that was really crucial. I want to discuss more on the same lines. Like Krishan was a reserve for Paris, and there were some more people who are like youngsters who couldn't make it to the Paris squad, but are going to be a part of the Indian hockey team for the near future. In the near future, talking about Arijit Hundal and Uttam Singh and Jugraj also. Jugraj scored the goal in the final. Nilakanta, who missed out, he was a reserve. What do you think about their performances in this edition of the ACT?
They were decent, like I said. Again, it also depends on the kind of competition. I think this was the best competition that these guys could have got to ease into the senior setup, and for the coach Craig Fulton to get a look into what he needs to do to bring them up to the top level. Uh, it helps them get that confidence also when they come back with a medal, with the title. But like I said, it will take time. It's not it will take time, but again, it's not like the previous generation has been completely discarded. A lot of them have been rested. Some of them asked for it. Someone like Hardik is out because of his injury. So these guys did get a look in. And if we are looking at LA 28, to be very honest, this is the time to start building, because the biggest advantage India had in Paris, going into Paris, was that they continued with a group which was largely the same from Tokyo. There were a few that changed, who retired, but it's not like someone was brought in all of a sudden to make up for them. From here on, the next 4 years, it's going to be much difficult, because you will see people retiring. I am not very sure how long Manpreet is going to continue. If he is good enough and fit enough till 28, great. But he's been around for a while now. This was his fourth Olympics as well, along with Srijay. So he has been around for a while. Harman has been around for a while. We've had Lalit Upadhyay playing for a while, for a long time. So these are players who you don't know whether they will be around till 28 or not. So the core of the team has to be built around the guys like Jugraj and Abhishek and maybe Raheel. Although Raheel is older to these guys, but Raheel and Arayjit and Bobby Thami is not here at the moment. He's still in the camp, so he hasn't got a chance. But these are Uttam, who was the junior captain till last year. These are the people that you need to build your core around. And I think this was a good start for Fulton to put that process in place.
I don't know about others, but when I asked Manpreet about Shrijesh's retirement, he's like, "Don't ask me, sir. मेरे से retirement के बारे में मत पूछना." So I think
Yeah,
he
yeah,
sees them.
he's there.
He
Yeah,
sees
he's
himself
there. He's good
playing till
enough. He's
LA.
fit enough. But
Yeah,
like I said, you don't know. Like the World Cup is in 26.
yeah.
So, and World Cup is a major milestone for anyone. So
Hmm.
once the World Cup is, I'm expecting, I'm hoping that he's around, is good enough and fit enough to be there for the World Cup. But after that, does he continue for another 2 years? I can't say anything about that, because a lot of factors come into play. Whether he's pushed, whether he pushes in hard enough, whether the coach thinks he fits into a new scheme of things around the remaining players. Because when you change the core group, uh, however senior you are, you need to adjust to a changing dynamics and the changing gameplay and the strategy and the way the plan that the coach has. So a lot of factors will come into play post 26 specifically.
Uh, what do you think about the general quality of the competition that was there in this edition? Because somebody like Malaysia losing 8-1 to India, like last year they were in the finals. Even Japan didn't have a great tournament. But Pakistan seemed to have sort of recovered from that heartbreak of not qualifying for Olympics, and now they seem to have some sort of a core group of youngsters that are coming up. And China, of course, was the surprise because they lost handily to both Pakistan and India in the group stage, but then shocked Pakistan in the semis and almost took
Yeah.
India to shoot out in the final.
See, China cannot be discounted. I said that last time also, when they played the ACT in India. They finished last. And I said after that also that do not go by what they did here in Chennai, because the Asian Games will be a different ball game. And it did turn out to be that way. They played the semi final and everything.
Hmm.
So China, you cannot judge them on the basis of one tournament, one competition. When they get into something, it's for the long haul. And we saw that it's not like they've changed or they've done something drastically different since the Asian Games. They don't really count every match as every tournament as something to, as a do or die moment or something. So yes, since last year, China has been gradually building. We don't get to see them much, so we don't really know what they're doing. But that doesn't mean that they're not working on their game. So China, in terms of rankings, maybe yes, they might be a surprise. But honestly, I don't see any performance from China since last year as a surprise element. Like I said, we think it's a surprise because we don't see them too often. Once we start seeing them too often, maybe the surprise element won't be there anymore. As far as Pakistan is concerned, again, the core group has remained the same, to be honest. A lot of these guys, especially the youngsters, are the same who were there at the ACT in Chennai. They were there in Asian Games. They are there. They are here also, especially the forward line and the defense. It's the same group. So that also tells you how having a system or a structure around these players is very important. They did not do great in ACT Chennai, but they still had a fight in them. They fought well. There
Mm.
was a hunger to win. The same team at Asian Games looked completely spent and kind of babe in the woods situation. You didn't. It was the same players, but they didn't look like playing the same game. Here again, you see the difference. And I think having a coach who understands them and makes them confident makes all the difference. It's interesting that the ACT Chennai had a stopgap coach, but they were both Pakistanis. They had Rehan Butt and Saklen here. Uh, this time again, Tahir Zama had to step in because Oltman refused to travel at the last minute.
Mm.
Uh, Personally, I think they do have the skills. And these are the guys who were there at the Junior Asia Cup last year, where they finished runners up to India. A lot of them since then, they have the talent, they have the skills. Individually, India might have moved on to playing a team game and a structured game, but a lot of these guys still play the kind of game that we get nostalgic about.
Mm.
Those dribbling skills and beating past 4 or 5 opponents and getting into the circle, everything. It's good to see that, but I think it's a system that really needs to be put in place there. They don't have the funds, unfortunately. They are struggling for finances. They have two groups, two factions in there, one recognized by the FIH, the other by the government. So that is an issue.
Mm.
I was checking the other day. Pakistan has a grand total of 3 FIH approved turfs in the entire country, and none of them is a grade 1, if I'm not wrong. Even the Lahore one is a grade 2 one.
Mm.
India, in comparison, the way they've gone about on a turf laying spree, we right now have uh, FIH grade 1, 2, and 3 combined, category 1, 2, 3 combined, about 93 turfs in
Mm.
India. So it's a huge difference. 3 turfs across the entire Pakistan. You can understand how they're struggling for the infrastructure, and they don't get to play because teams don't visit Pakistan and they don't have the funds to travel abroad for bilateral and test matches. They sadly do not qualify for the major events, whether it's the World Cup or the Olympics.
Right.
So these are issues that they need to put in to find solutions to. I hope Tahir Zama continues for the long term, but again, at the end of the day, he has to earn a living. And if they don't find the funds and the finances to give him offer him a decent contract, which will make him stay long term, it might be back to square to the square one. So let's
I
see.
just want to,
Keeping fingers crossed.
yeah. I just want to wrap this video with one last talking point.
Hmm?
So I remember the last Asian Champions Trophy that happened just after Tokyo Olympics. It sort of felt like the Indian team was had that Olympic hangover, and they got I don't think they sent the full strength squad also, and
Hmm?
they didn't even reach the final that time. Uh,
Yeah.
this time the team, I mean, most of the players who played in Paris, they were there, and they
Hmm?
played with the same philosophy of Craig Fulton, like defend to win.
Yeah.
Uh, and that I think worked even in the final as well today. They were defensively strong, and when they got their chance, finally they scored. Do you think
Hmm.
under Fulton you see these guys like going only higher from here, the Indian team?
Ideally, yes, but personally, I'm not really very happy with the fact that they went with a large part of the Paris guys together, because let's be honest, there are ranking points, but we also need to remember that the FIH ranking system rewards you more for playing higher ranked teams
Yeah.
and not as much for playing lower ranked teams. And the difference in rankings that I just mentioned, you are fifth and then the next highest is 13th.
Mm.
You do get ranking points, but it's not enough for you to go from fifth to maybe third or second. These
Mm.
things need to be taken care of, and it's not like this is a tournament that's a do or die.
Mm.
Even continental, if it's the Asia Cup or the Asian Games, obviously it's a big thing. Even the
Mm.
Asia Cup is a big thing because you qualify for the World Cup from that. The ACT, I would have liked if they had gotten a few more youngsters in there. Because, like I said, you are not very sure you're going to carry these 10, 12 guys from Paris all the way to LA again. Not all of them will be there. But if you start testing out players now from the core group, what's the worst that would have happened? You wouldn't have won this title. And it's not the end of the world. You've just come back from an Olympics. You won a medal there. You proved that you belong there. The games that you played, not just the result, but the way you played throughout the tournament, there's nothing left for them to prove as such. So proving that you're the best in the Asia is not is a good thing, that you are the best in the Asia, but it's not going to help you. Being the best in Asia is not going to help you continue the winning streak at the Olympics when 2028 comes on. So I would have liked a few more youngsters to have been tested. Uh, then again, as far as the team composition is concerned, I believe Coach Fulton would have thought of something in terms of his planning, and he would have planned more outings for other players as well. So I guess in coach we trust. Now that Hockey India in any case has uh, given him a 4-year contract extension till the 28 games. So let's just hope that he knows what he's doing, and I'm sure after Paris we should give him time to do whatever he wants, at least for the next 1 year.
I think that's a good way to wrap up this video. Thank you for joining, Uthra, and keep following Sportstar for the latest news from hockey and other sports.